Welcome to Vegan Ultra. I'm your inspiration guide, Adam Gallus, on this epic quest for health, hope, and happiness, in which I lose 150 pounds in 12 months on a whole food vegan diet while walking 2 marathons each week, every week, for an entire year to prove to myself, my family, and everyone watching on YouTube that we can all become the ultra versions of ourselves if we give it a chance and are powered by plants. Today, I'm introducing a mini series for this channel that's all about my blood tests. Why? Because this is very important. A blood test, specifically the kind that you get at annual physicals, is a way of seeing under the hood of the human body to make sure that you are in fact healthy. Remember, lots of diets can make you feel healthy, but it's important to make sure that you actually are. So let's take a look here at some of my blood tests. So here you can see these are pre-vegan blood tests. So these are basically at the start of 2023. Now, you can see here my ferritin level was sky high, and this was because I was under the impression that taking 2 prenatal vitamins per day was actually beneficial. After all, my theory was, if it's good enough for a pregnant woman, then taking 2 just to make sure that you're absorbing it, it would be optimal for a nutrition. Well, as my doctor pointed out, prenatal vitamins are rich in iron. And if you're taking 2 a day, you can see the iron levels were extremely high. And in addition, of course, my folate was high and my B12 was high because those are in prenatal vitamins. Similarly, my hemoglobin A1C, though, that one was good. Now, I should point out at this time, I was doing long weekly fasts of about 5 days. In fact, my entire diet at this time consisted of eating at Golden Corral twice a week. So in essence, this was on average 1,500 calories per day and extremely high in saturated fat. But the blood sugar was under control. But because it was such a heavy fat and animal meat protein based diet, it put a lot of stress on my kidneys. So what about 6 weeks on a vegan diet? And as I explained in my introductory series, this was not whole food plant-based. This was junk food vegan. I was essentially eating the Impossible burgers, the vegan ice cream, a lot of the high sodium processed foods. Yet my cholesterol plunged to 93, an LDL of 44. And remember, under 150 is optimal, basically eliminating your risk of heart disease. LDL under 70 is optimal. Mine was extremely, extremely low. My doctor was so shocked that she told me, "You're off statins," and I've never done that with a patient that diagnosed with diabetes. Similarly, hemoglobin A1C, the same 4.8% as we saw earlier. The difference is I was eating 2,500 calories per day and plenty of carbs. So now, similarly, if we take a look, the blood glucose 83, and this is actually quite impressive because remember, prior to this, I had gained 80 pounds in 2 months, just binging on Chick-fil-A, lots and lots of fat. Similarly, we can see overall all my electrolytes are looking good, and protein is normal. Albumin is another measure of protein that was also normal. Looking at it, slightly elevated bilirubin. This is kind of a measure of basically blood cell destruction. This I've had elevated for several years now. I have plenty of tests, finding nothing to overly concerned about. And my doctor was slightly worried that perhaps I still had a bit of a fatty liver. Though this creatine EGFR, this is glomerular filtration rate. This is a measure of kidney health. Remember how in my previous test we'd seen that my kidneys were under stress from all the meat I was eating. Here, my kidneys, boom, kidneys of an Olympian. All right, so here we are, though, 2 months whole food plant-based. What do we see? Well, the bilirubin is slightly still elevated, which is normal for me, but we can see direct bilirubin. Basically, this is normal. And I had a recent ultrasound that found basically that, a slightly enlarged spleen, but nothing to worry about. Overall, normal. This is also normal, but notice this, these AST and ALT, these are liver enzymes. And if you recall, in my pre-vegan one, I had levels that were borderline high and slightly elevated in the previous one. My doctor was worried and had me do an ultrasound. Ultrasound came back, everything fine. Boom! Liver enzymes through the floor. I have the liver of a teenager. And what about glomerular filtration rate? Remember, the important measure of kidney health. Well, the last time going junk food vegan, it had soared to 89. Here it's basically above 90, which is basically off the scale. The scale only goes to 90. If it goes higher than that, they just say above 90. This is basically the kidneys of an Olympian. So blood glucose still 88. And remember that this actually, I took this lab here after eating around 30 pounds of fruit that week. So this is a whole lot of fruit, a completely normal blood glucose. See, you can see the creatinine, this was compared to the first pre-vegan, much improved. All the electrolytes coming in normal, calcium normal, protein normal, albumin again normal. So all the major concerns people have about a whole food vegan diet. Oh, and look at my A1C 4.6, even lower. So basically, this is one of the most impressive things here, complete reversal of diabetes purely with diet and lifestyle. And remember, this is not someone who is being careful with the carbs. This is someone who is eating 400, 500 grams a day of carbs and fruit by the pound because it's nature's dessert and it is so absolutely delectable. What about my ferritin levels? Now remember, the pre-vegan levels with all the prenatal vitamins were close to 1,400. So still elevated here because I am eating a lot of iron in the diet. We've seen how basically leafy greens and beans are rich in iron, as are even potatoes and beets. Though transferrin, completely normal. This is another iron measure. Folate, normal. Vitamin D, normal. B12, elevated because a lot of supplementation. I eat lots of nutritional yeast, which is fortified with vitamin B12. The iron itself, normal. TIBC, this is another measure of iron, also normal. In fact, towards the lower end in actual iron saturation, completely in the middle of the range. Remember, with non-heme iron found in plants, you only absorb what you need, and the blood tests show this. Though my doctor is slightly worried about the elevated ferritin levels, and studies do indicate that you definitely want to watch those because too high can in fact increase all-cause mortality. My doctor simply recommends make sure any supplements you take do not include iron, and of course stay clear of the red meat, which has lots of heme iron. So there you have it, the introductory episode of my lab test. I have ordered omega-3 lab test. It's in a complete omega panel that I will be sharing when the results come in around 2 weeks. And of course, when I take my annual physical and we get the complete blood panels on that, I will be sharing those as well and walking you through it. Because remember, it's not just about looking and feeling good. You have to make sure that when you look under the hood, your body is in fact working right. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video to help other people find it on YouTube, and consider trying a Blue Zone vegan diet. It really is science-based magic and nutrition-fueled sorcery that can turn all of us into the Captain America versions of ourselves if we give it a chance and are powered by